right. Well, hello, Judy. Thanks for joining me today. We have a bit of a discussion going on here, and I thought, hey, why don't we hit record? I think what you have to share and kind of some of the things that we were just talking about, off camera here, so to speak, are great. So yeah, Judy, welcome to the call, and it's good to have you.
Thanks for having me, Caleb.
For sure. Now, Judy, what is your role at your school board? I guess what school board are you in from? And yeah, fill us in on kind of who you are and what you're up to.
Absolutely. So my name is Judy Merkel, and I'm a superintendent of learning with the Waterloo Catholic District School Board. My responsibilities with Waterloo Catholic are oversight of the portfolios of safe schools and mental health. Among other things, I do have responsibilities for a large family of schools as well as other portfolios, but mainly for context of this conversation, those two are the most pertinent, I would say, that relate to our conversation today.
Oh, awesome. Well, that's good to know. Certainly a lot of responsibility there, it sounds like. So Judy, given your role at Waterloo Catholic, I think you might have some great perspective on some things just related to, I guess, yeah, mental health, student well-being, school safety, those types of things. How are things looking in that regard from a provincial perspective, or from your level at the school board? How are we doing?
I would say, from my perspective, and I certainly don't believe it's a Waterloo Catholic issue, I would say that provincially, we are seeing a significant rise in concern for student mental health, employee mental health, and general well-being. Given the fact that the Ministry of Education has endorsed and really focused a lot of attention on certain online preventative aspects of our work. For example, human trafficking PPM 166 is a call for Ontario school boards to be very responsive to that, which is a significant impact, of course, on student safety and mental health. A focus on PPM 144 as it relates to bullying prevention, as it relates to online safety, and as well our huge focus that we have across the province as it relates to mental health, PPM 169. All of these things are hugely indicative that as a province, we're seeing an increase of concern around the well-being of our students. Their presence online significantly impacts how we can support their safety. So the work that we're doing is completely focused on how do we manage, how do we mitigate, and how do we support students in crisis. As we know, coming out of COVID, we've seen an increase in all of the above concerns.
Hmm. Okay. Well, that's both, I guess, good to know and unfortunate to hear at the same time. You're referencing, Ontario PPM, and ministry reports and requirements, but I know that this, in our work too, we're seeing some of the same trends across Canada, throughout the provinces, and yeah, it's good to have that validated, and that we're on the right track here with some things, but also just, yeah, it's a bit of a sobering reminder that there are real issues out there, and
Mhm.
kids these days are going through a lot. Now, Judy, again, just kind of recalling our conversation before we decided to hit record today, we're talking about Student Aware, which is a project that we've been developing alongside school boards to help with this very thing. Let's just think back in time a little bit, towards when you started that project with us or got involved. What were some of the things that drew you to wanting to take action, with student mental health and safety from a sort of a software perspective, and why pick a tool to do that?
Well, so Caleb, many schools and boards in the province were required to have a method or a mechanism in place to track cyberbullying. So when we looked at the platform and when we looked at Student Aware, what it was appealing to us was the fact that Student Aware could essentially support us leveraging, tracking, and validating wonderings, concerns, and then we could be responsive in a way that respected the identity of the student, secured the information for us, and allowed us to act responsibly to what we would know and what we could suspect and what we could prevent. So the platform really essentially gave us eyes and ears to an educational setting that we no longer had control of because we had moved virtually to a degree. As we know, students are expanding their world much faster than we are. into a virtual platform. So that was the appeal to us, to find something to mitigate a world that we couldn't see right in front of us.
Okay, yeah, that's insightful, and I like the way that you put that. That level of awareness and visibility that you didn't currently have. Yeah, it makes sense that given the challenges you were facing, that could provide some tremendous value. Now, as you're talking there, Judy, I'm just reminded of what I like to call, or what we kind of call here, like the big three. That's privacy, policy, and procedure. School boards nationwide are seeing the need for something like Student Aware, as we've kind of already discussed, but often seem to kind of get stuck on those items of privacy, policy, and procedure. And I know that you and your team at Waterloo have addressed this in a good way, and have a pretty solid perspective on that side of things. So yeah, if you were to share some advice with other school boards or leadership teams in the realms of privacy, policy, procedure, what would be some things you'd want to share or say in that regard?
Mhm. And I certainly can appreciate, Caleb, the concerns around those three things. Not unlike every other school board, first and foremost, we are very much aware and concerned about privacy and data management. What was appealing to us around Student Aware is the fact that no personal data that we collect is shared with Student Aware. So the very fact that you do not know the students that we may be monitoring or have flags on, is what makes this platform so appealing to us. We are not giving any information to you. We have control over that information. It is solely residing with our school board when the person that we have monitoring the flags accesses it. So I'd say that was the first piece, that in terms of privacy, there are no concerns with regards to that, because the user, us as the user, manages that and controls that. We vetted it. We have strong procedure for vetting that, and we've done that and feel fully confident in using this platform. Secondly, around policy, we have very um, intentionally in put in place into our policy around student agreement and student use of technology and management of IT, policy and reference to Student Aware in that policy. So we make it very much known to anyone who signs off on our board policy, as our students do, as our employees are aware, that we are using something that monitors the efficacy of those in our domain and the digital citizenship of those in our domain. And then in terms of uh, our use of it, in terms of in an ethical way, our procedure for using it, we've taken a very, again, I use the word intentional stance on being very morally grounded in how we use this. We are very specific when we use it. We have very tight timelines around who gets this information, how it is shared. We have created scripts on how it's used and delivered, and we have used it in the manner of supporting mental health. While we first began to think that this was going to be a platform that we use to support school safety, while it still does, we have actually morphed the use of this platform more to support mental health. So the privacy and dignity of those students is first and foremost. So it's something that we are very proud of, that we have worked closely with you to make sure that the product is meeting the needs of our board, and happy to share that if anyone is interested in using it the way that we're using it.
Yeah, I love that kind of community perspective on things, that the success you've had with it and the work you've put into administering it can be shared, and you're
Mhm.
sharing that. I think that's tremendous. Now, just to clarify for those that might be dropping in here and kind of trying to catch up, Student Aware is monitoring for website visits and search terms to flag for high risk behavior related to those searches. So,
Mhm.
harm, school violence, child exploitation, things of that regard. Now, I guess as a quick question here, as we sort of wrap up our time together, from a feedback perspective, maybe you can just share super quick a few words on how your staff, how your teams have received this tool, and what it's been like to have this level of awareness, maybe for the first time.
I would say our staff essentially feel empowered, first of all, because we, as I said earlier, we have eyes where we didn't have eyes before. We have a view into a world where we can keep our online classrooms safe as well. I would say another word that comes to mind is grateful. We have families that we're supporting now in terms of mental health, students that would not have been on our radar, that now we know are safe for the time that we can respond to them. And I would say proactively, we know out of a sense of our moral duty that we are doing everything we can for our students. So I think perhaps it's just a sense that we know we're doing the best that we can. And I think that's all you can ever expect from anyone. And I think when you know there's a tool that can help you, we are just really, really grateful that we have another way we can reach and secure the safety and um, integrity of our students, whether they're in front of us or whether they're behind a screen.
Hmm. Wow, yeah, I'm just gonna let that sit for a moment. That's really good feedback, actually, and I love the way that you put that. Yeah, no, I mean, there's not much more to say in that regard. And you've kind of already, I think alluded to my last question here for you, is just this idea of, if you were to, you know, reach out to a school board, if you were to talk to, maybe a peer at a neighboring school board that doesn't have something like student aware in place, what's something that you'd want to share with them, or have them know about this type of work, if you were to kind of
Mhm.
pass that along.
I guess my first question or wondering and accolade would be, my first wondering would be, if you're not using something like Student Aware, what are you using? The second piece I would ask is, um, if you could know something that could help students in a way that is safe, that respects their integrity, that puts student well-being first, why wouldn't you use that? And the second piece of that, or third piece to that, I would say is you can't unknow what you now know. So if you're given an ability to have more information as we glean student data around so many aspects in our educational setting, every ounce of information we can have around a student and how to support them is going to only advance their self efficacy, their level of achievement, and overall well being. So I think that we are charged with that as educators in Ontario and across Canada and beyond. And I think if not, why not? Are you not using this?
Okay. Well, I mean, well, we could probably call it there, Judy. That's fantastic. Thank you for that insight. And yeah, I guess to any of those that might be catching this little session that we've recorded, feel free to reach out. Judy is available anytime to help out navigate some of this stuff. Our team is here as well. And yeah, Judy, thanks. It's always good to catch up with you. And I'm
Yes.
sure we'll do again very soon. And yeah, for now, then, yeah, just take care and have a great rest of your week.
You too, Caleb. Good to see you again.